hello. Yeah, everybody, welcome to episode 10 of the Signal Man Show. I'm your host, Josh Urban. Thanks for tuning in. I've been roaming the woods and writing a book. I'm working on an observing book called The Captain's Logbook. I hope to have a proof by the end of May, so I've been a little bit tied up. But I went looking for snakes the other day, and I found one. I said for this new season, I'm going to try not to get psychological. I'm not going to try to get mental, but it's me. I can't help it, man. I just got this book, The Undiscovered Self, Carl Jung, a passionate plea for the individual integrity, according to the New York Times Book Review, whatever good that one is. Anyway, what was I saying? Right, so he says in this book right here, he says something quite intriguing. Most people confuse self-knowledge with knowledge of their conscious ego personalities. Anyone who has ego consciousness at all takes it for granted that he knows himself. But the ego knows only its own contents, not the unconscious and its contents. People measure their self-knowledge by what the average person in their social environment knows of himself, but not by the real psychic facts, which are for the most part hidden from them. In this respect, the psyche behaves like the body, with its physiological and anatomical structure, of which the average person knows very little too. Although he lives in it and with it, most of it is totally unknown to the layman, and special scientific knowledge is needed to acquaint consciousness with what is known of the body, not to speak of what is not known, which also exists. So, there's a lot we don't see, and a lot we don't even know that isn't there. Quite interesting stuff. So how does this tie into hunting for snakes? Well, so I'm down in the mountains now, and moved down in January, and I'm looking around at all these woods and all these creeks and all these mountains thinking, oh, that looks awfully snaky. And snakes, in this case, I was actually concerned about the real ones, but in our discussion here, that's a psychological metaphor for things we don't like, things that can end us, right? So an interesting thing happened, and I've known about this for a while. I've heard Jocko Willink talk about this. I've heard Jordan Peterson talk about this, talk about there's a difference if you go along and you're cowering in fear and you move through the world as a prey animal waiting for things to happen to you, or if you go out as a predator looking for the dragons to slay. It's a big difference. So I went looking for snakes. It was a beautiful day last week, and I said, I'm going to go, and there's a video up on this channel. This is the first podcast on YouTube. I said, I'm going to do this. So I went looking for snakes. I finally found one. After a long time, I finally found this little hognose snake. He's not venomous. He's this, maybe about 18 inches long if we're telling fish stories. And I picked him up by his tail, and he hissed. He was like, and then he breathed in. And he flattened out his head like a cobra. He didn't bite me. It was pretty cool. That's the only one I found. I went looking for rattlesnakes. I went everywhere looking for snakes. I went out again today. I was thinking, I need to do a podcast. And I thought, I want to talk about looking for snakes. So this is something that I've been doing psychologically too. I've been sorting around in my head, trying to figure out the next thing, right? And there's a difference between walking through the field, hoping you don't step on a snake, than actually going to look for a snake. Now, you want to be careful because the snake is there. Just because you're looking for it doesn't mean it's not there. Maybe you don't find it, maybe you do. It can still bite you. It can still be poisonous. It can still put you in the hospital if you step on the wrong one. Just as some of the things that you might find when you go looking, it might totally change your life. Sometimes it has to change your life. So it's an interesting thing if we go looking. I felt quite different as I moved softly through the woods, going through the dappled sunshine. It was nice not to look at a screen for once. Going through the dappled sunshine, by the rocks, by the beautiful trees with the wind whispering through them. Didn't see one this time, but I was looking and I was ready for it. It's like the Chuck Norris joke. Do you hear Chuck Norris was exposed to the COVID-19 virus? Now the virus is in a 2-week quarantine. Love Chuck Norris jokes. And they're also deep, man. They're deep because it shows what happens if we're on the attack. So, as Jocko would say, go get some. Let's go make it happen. Go look for those snakes in whatever form they are. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.